Hello and welcome to MAA Week 3 Part 4, and this is the answers to the lecture exercises presented as always by Dr. Martin Roberts. Okay, at the top of the Word document that accompanies this lecture series is all the pricing techniques that you can identify with. You will need this because you will, as you graduate and as you become more strategic in your work life, is that you will encounter these methods in your working life. However, I don't want you to learn these off by heart, and I certainly don't want you to learn them word by word, so all I want you to do is get the general gist. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to go through them very quickly, but the reason why I'm going to do that is so that ideally you just pause this lecture and read them under your own speed, because otherwise it will take forever. Okay, so here we go. Market penetration is the first one. Okay, then there's an example in Netflix. Like I said, there's a lot of data on there, a lot of words, so we're not going to read them out. Let's take your time, pause it, and I will move on. Okay, same with market skimming. Okay, and then you're looking at things like differentiation and price discrimination, which can be about age, etc. Okay, so there you are. As I mentioned, age is that you have things like student discounts and for old age pensions. Okay, and there's some more. And then we've got differentiation by place, depending on where it's being sold, by time. Then you've got premium pricing. Why would you pay a premium or set a premium when you set your prices? When you bundle products together, what prices would you set them at? And why would you have optional extras? Also, then, why would you have a loss leader? And the idea is that you lose money on a product, but you can sell more and you actually win the market. Same with discounts. Why would you do that? And for what reason? Okay, controlled prices, and that's all about, well, really you have to, because it's controlled by the likes of Ofcom. So that's, like I said, that's all the pricing theories and strategies that you will encounter. We're going to move on now to the life cycle costing question and example that again is on your Word document, and this is very simple. Is that all you've got to remember is that you must take into account all the costs associated with the product over its life. So you must take into the idea of its R&D, its first year, second year, third year, fourth year, and for each year there's a cost involved, cost per unit, and a volume. And so the sales manager is thinking of selling the product for £8. Is this reasonable? Actually, answering that question is not difficult from a maths point of view. Okay, so over the page, all that we do is we add things together. So there's our R&D cost that was at year 0. Then our marketing is the 4 years added together. Okay. Then production is simply cost per unit times by your volume, so £1 per unit times by 1,000,000 units, plus the same for every year. And that gives us a total cost of 48.4 billion. Okay, you divide that by your unit volume over the 4 years, okay, hence the 4 numbers together, and so it's very simple. The cost of the product over its life is £2.42. So seeing selling the product at £8 seems an incredibly reasonable idea. However, what you've got to be careful of is that you cover all your costs at the right time. So looking at year 1, what we've done here is that we've split our R&D over the 4 years. Now that might be not the correct things to do. You might want, because of your level of risk, you might want to recover that a lot quicker. Okay, but let's just say it's nice and simple and we expect 4 years of product sales. Marketing costs in the first year of 5 million. Production is again the £1 million. £1 million per unit times the million volume gives us 11 in total. Divided by that volume, and the product cost is £11. So selling price was 8, losing 3 potentially. Well, we're not losing it, but it's an opportunity cost. Yeah, potentially we're missing out on 3. So therefore, is that the right answer? It's a difficult one to answer, but one where you must show the facts and have the debate at board level as to what is that selling price. It depends on what your competitors are offering. Is there any way you could increase your price to justify that £11? Okay. So, throughput accounting ratio, or TPAR to give it its acronym. There's your question. Okay. So under normal circumstances, contribution would be selling price minus materials minus labour would be £6 for X. But in this case, our throughput is 9. Sales less materials gives you your throughput. Okay. And all relatively straightforward. The thing to realise that if you just manufactured all of X, potentially that's the wrong answer in terms of creating the most profitable mix in relation to your scarce resource. What you've got to do is make sure that it is in relation to your scarce resource. So £9 divided by how long it takes to make, which is your scarce resource, your labour hours, and so the actual throughput per hour is £3 per scarce resource. Okay, so what we then do to thoroughly check that really the one to make first is Y, not X, is we actually calculate that throughput accounting ratio. We divide our throughput by our OAR. Okay, and our OAR is our total cost of 100 grand, which is in the question, divided by our total labour hours, which is 80,000, gives us an OAR of 125. So there you go. Our throughput divided by our OAR gives us these returns. And so yes, the one to make first is Y, and then therefore once we know that we know that X will follow, we can produce a production schedule in relation to the scarce resources available. Okay, so like we said, 80,000 hours. Thing we're going to make first, according to our TPAR, is Y, and we want to make 40,000 units. It takes us an hour and a half to make each one, and then therefore we're going to use up 60,000 hours. And then the same with X is that we can't actually make everything we want to, so we work backwards. We've got 20,000 hours left. We divide it by 3, and that means that we can make that many units. Okay. Once we've got that information, we can then use these numbers to create our total costs. Okay, and that will allow us once we know our costs. So let's take the simple one, 60,000 hours times £4 gives us 240,000. Okay. Less our production overheads, yeah, will give us our profit of just on 100 grand. Now that's our most profitable mix in relation to our throughput. Okay. Alright, so relatively straightforward. Go back over it and you should be able to cope with that, no problems. And then the final thing I wanted to look at was environmental management accounting again. Okay, and there's the definition that you need to not really remember but understand what it's trying to do, and it's really about recording the ins and outs of your materials and your waste that you produce. Okay, and then therefore the cost of it. And then finally, how do you do that? And you must remember these 4 techniques if you're ever discussing EMA. Okay, so that's it for this week, and hopefully you've enjoyed it, and we can now move on to week 4. Okay.